Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the 72 review. I'm joined once again by PunkChef41 and Ian Bradley. We'll start with PunkChef41. Welcome back to the show. I hope you're feeling better after last week. Everybody was missing you. But for people who are new, let them know who you are, what you do, and everything else.
I'm glad to be back. It's so much better to be able to sit up and actually do something. Last week, I had to just stay in bed, listen to the wife. Always do that. If you get married, just remember the 3 magic words. Yes, dear, you'll be set for life. But yeah, I'm PunkChef41. I do a channel that's all based on Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, and it's been a busy one this season. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we go on. And it's going to sound really weird. I want a really quiet window because it's been very busy this window. I want a really nice, quiet last transfer day, and I can just sit there and just watch every other team panic.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And below me is Ian Bradley. Ian, for everybody who's new to the show, let them know who you are and what you do, mate.
Hello, I'm Ian Bradley. I'm 60-year-old and a football fan first and foremost, but also a Miller's season ticket holder. I do amateur vlogging for Over the Bar YouTube channel and just generally enjoy my football. I'm retired, so I've got a lot of time in my hands. So, yeah, that's me.
Well, Jake's done one. I'm not sure where he's gone. We will mention, get your comments in, and we'll go through as many as we can while the show is going on. Unfortunately, I've had to block somebody because they're just being an absolute tool. Everybody's got their own opinions, but please keep it respectful. And if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. It's as simple as that. We stream, we chat, and we want to interact with you, but we want it to be respectful. So hopefully that can continue. The respectful ones we will bring up. We've got Patrick Mapper. Don't recognise his name, so welcome if you're new. Still can't believe we drew Cambridge.
Yeah.
And we've got 18 Dat Dog. Where are you? We're here. We start at 6:30.
Kind of like that as a nickname for you, mate.
I don't, not with the stickers that were made.
Oh, God, yeah. Forgot about them.
We've got Nick Muller in the chat. Top of the league, it's which you'd have thought. I'm sure we'll get onto that later on in the show. Yeah. We've got Lizzie. Evening, lads, watching you on the big telly tonight. That's nice to know. We've got Nat, who's regular. Welcome, Nat. Evening, Dapper Jake and Ian.
Nat, mate.
Good evening.
If I know Nat, he's watching it in his back garden bar he got. To
be fair, it's decent enough weather to do it as well. We've got Kyle Superblade. Welcome to the show. Hey, what up, bro? Good evening. Stephen Fitzpatrick. Great win, Dapper. You Reds. Yeah, we'll get onto that a little later on. Amadeus as well. Nice cameo in Dapper's vlog, Ian. So, yeah, Ian, you came and watched Rovers against Salford. So we'll have a chat about that a little later on in the show. And then we've got Liam Martin, a very good win for Argyle. My overall thoughts of the game is that we controlled it, took our chances very well. Forest Green had chances but didn't take them. Pretty decent win. So we'll probably touch on that maybe when we get to League One. It is a packed show because obviously we had midweek fixtures. So let's start in the Championship. Bear with me. Let's get the results on. So midweek results are scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and the weekend results. We're not going to go through midweek results apart from the clubs that we follow. So Ian, let us find Preston 0, Rotherham 0. Talk us through this one, mate. A decent result.
Very good result and very good defensive performance. In truth, especially after half time, we got battered. We got completely battered. North End were just putting balls in, crosses in. I'm a really big fan of that Potts for Preston. What a player he is. He hit the bar, did everything but score. But I was very, very pleased with the Millers' defensive showing in that. They look solid. They look like they know what they're doing. They're organised, even without Richard Wood in the starting lineup. The Grant Hall has been a superb signing so far. And I'm also pleased with Peltier and Cameron Humphreys. They gel pretty well. We didn't have a right lot going forward, but we did have a couple of chances first half through Connor Washington that were quite wide. And I think our only second half chance, Ben Wiles blazed it wide, well placed. But yeah, fantastic point against a pretty decent looking Preston side.
Yeah, and like you say, the statistics, they're all weighted in Preston's favour, which you'd expect for the home team, but a very valuable point earned away from home. Plenty of comments have come in. We've got Nat. Yeah, he's slightly drunk, so I'm guessing he's out in the garden bar.
Yeah.
Kyle Superblade, love your vlogs. Thank you very much. We appreciate the support. Nick Muller, thanks for Freddie Ladapo. I think that one's for you, Ian.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Patrick, back in the chat. Hello, lads. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We've got Nat as well. Just going on results, Rotherham fans must be happy. So do you want to answer that one, Ian? Are you happy so far?
So far, so
simple.
good, yeah. We've only conceded 2 goals in 4 games. We're not going to lay down and have us belly tickled this time in the Championship. We're competitive. And it's early days, but I think we could well survive this season.
Yeah, looking likely, isn't it? Well, I say it's looking likely. It's early days, but it's a good start.
I will say, did people see Neil Pearson's comments this week?
Didn't.
About the decisions that are going around and stuff. Nigel Pearson, Bristol City, and he basically said at the rate it's going, I'm probably going to end up quitting football because I had enough, because he's just having enough of the decisions and stuff. And I think this is like, we're what, match day 5 or this was match day 4? Yeah. And he must be racking up fines and thinking, I can't say anything or I'll get fined again.
To be fair, I felt like that giving up football last year. It was rubbish. Yeah. But it's amazing what a couple of wins can do.
Horrible season.
A couple more chats before we move on to the weekend in the Championship. Rotherham were all right on last Championship campaign. Just a late losing streak cost them, if I remember right. I hope they prove their mettle this time. And
they had that backlog of games, didn't they?
Connor Washington, is he doing well at Rotherham? He couldn't score and scuffed every one-on-one when he was at Charlton. So Connor Washington, how's he faring at Rotherham?
I'm quite pleased so far. He's a good worker. He's a worker. He buys into Paul Wallen's work ethic really well. He scored a great goal against Reading. He had a couple of chances at Preston that there were difficult chances, and he put them just wide. And he had one saved from the Preston keeper. But yeah, I'm pleased with him so far. I don't think he's going to get us 15 or 20 goals, but I think he will contribute. So yeah, so far so good.
And there we go. So moving on to the weekend, still with you, Ian. QPR 1, Rotherham 1. So a couple of tough away days for you this week, and 2 points. Must be happy with that.
Very happy. I think we were more better going forward this time. It didn't show you on the highlights, but we had a really good chance when it was 1-1 going into the dying embers, and Georgie Kelly had an effort saved. But yeah, Ogbenny did his thing again, scored again. I think it's 4 goals in 5 games. Not bad for a right winger. But who's been pushed into an emergency striking role. He's doing really well. But again, defensively, solid. We limited them to 5 shots on target, which isn't a lot for the home team. And Johansson, really, the saves that he made were quite routine. Rangers huffed and puffed a lot. Elias Chair's obviously pivotal for them. Had a really good game. But yeah, coming away from Loftus Road with a 1-1 draw, very happy with that. Very, very pleased.
No semi heroics.
Yeah, but an outside
no
looking in.
Corners in the last minute, yeah.
When outside of looking in, it's never been your defence that has always been the issue for me. You've always been quite settled, defensively solid. I think you're just missing that like kind of anchor man in midfield to make things tick, and then just a goal scorer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Jay. Yeah. Which we're still probably short of. But having said that, Tom Eaves is coming back to full fitness, and he might start in the Carabao Cup game in midweek because he was on the bench against QPR, so he might.
That's a good sign, then, isn't it?
Well started, yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, Jake, you wanted to talk about Preston versus Watford.
Yeah, this wasn't.
Go for it.
This wasn't really a game that you want to like talk about when you see it 0-0, but the keepers had such a good games pair of them. They really did well. And Preston have got a young 18 lad, a Briller. He looks superb. Really just nicking long balls over the top. And if their striker was a little bit more aware, they probably would have won that one, Preston. But this was a game for the keepers. And I think we always look at the glitzy ties where the 3-3 and go, it's all a goal. But I'm an ex-goalkeeper. I'm batting for the keepers union here. I like watching keepers do well. They just pulled off some really good saves, and I think you see in a Championship and League One and League Two where if you can get that back line right, and a lot of teams are playing with this sweeper keeper thing now, and I think it was nice to watch a game where these two don't play with that. They don't do sweeper keeper. It was just no nonsense, and they just pulled off some really good saves. But watch out for that Preston young lad because he looks like a really good talent.
Yeah. I think we mentioned just before we came live as well, Preston struggling to score goals this season, but looking defensively solid as well. They've started fairly well. They've not conceded many, but they just need to find that goal scoring touch, don't they?
Yeah.
And they'll win
Definitely.
more than they'll
Not
lose.
conceded any, Dan.
They haven't. You're right.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good defensively, but they've not scored many either. A game that I wanted to touch on when I can find it, it was West Brom against Hull. West Brom, a team that have limped to begin with in the first 3 or 4 games. A team that is always expected to do well against Hull City, who were tipped to potentially struggle this season or have a fairly non-season in terms of kind of breaking into the top 6 or whatever. But Hull City started very well. They were unbeaten coming into this one, and they were well and truly put to the sword by a very good West Brom team on the day. Carlin Grant, wonderful penalty. But for me, just the play, 68% possession, 16 shots, 7 on target. It's a decent return, and 7 of those got finding the back of the net. I know one of them's a deflected own goal, but wonderful from West Brom. Do you think this could be the turning point for West Brom and we'll see them kick on from here?
I think West Brom are too good a side to struggle for long. Yeah, they've had a slow start. But once they click into gear, I can see probably top 6 minimum. They're a little bit iffy away from home, though. The Hawthorns, they're formidable. And they've got a strong squad. So,
I think it's worth mentioning that Hull were 8 senior players down as well, which may well have contributed to the scoreline, but you can only play the 11 that's in front of you, can't
you? It was this week I saw West Brom, I think it was Steve Bruce was trending. I was like, oh God, that's never good, because that normally means like a manager being sacked or you're close to getting sacked. And I don't think West Brom can afford to have this sacking of managers like they've done for a while. They need to have one there. It be, you're our guy, get us out of it, and then go from there, because they're not a team that I used to describe as being very well run. And it seems like ever since the change of ownership or whatever, it's just gone a bit backwards. You know what I mean? But if they're not top 6, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And then the final game of the Championship that we're going to touch upon this week is Burnley against Blackpool. Ian, you want to say a few words about this one? I mean, Jake mentioned it earlier. He mentioned the Preston, Watford for wonderful keeping and defensive solidity. And it's normally the glamour with lots of goals. And yeah, we picked one out, which was 3-3, red cards. Go for it, Ian. It's all yours.
Yeah, well, both red cards were justified, but I'll just touch on that later. Great game. Absolutely great game. Brownhill, a worldie to start off with. He's starting to score goals, Josh Brownhill, and he's looking really good. And then the lad that they've got on loan from Southampton, Teller, his full debut, gets a really good brace, both really well taken.
Yeah.
But a goalkeeping and defensive calamity Corpino, for the first goal. Yeah, and Blackpool came on strong at the second half and probably deservedly equalised. Lavery and Jerry Yates, ex-Miller's player, still scoring goals for Blackpool. I think it's I think I wrote it down here. Yeah, I think he's got 32 in 100 appearances for Blackpool, which is like 1 in 3.
Yeah.
So sometimes I wonder about Jerry Yates, whether Paul Warne should have sort of persevered with him for a little bit longer. But he's certainly doing the business at Championship level for Blackpool. And yeah, the sendings off. It was a horrible challenge to start with, but the reaction, he just signed his own death warrant, pushing him to the floor. So yeah, both justifiable red cards.
So if he read for the challenge and you don't react like that, and I'm pretty sure
you don't react like that, no.
Vince and company will have pulled him into his office Sunday morning going, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, and the frustrating thing is both of them going down to 10 men. If he'd have not reacted, Carey would have got sent off, and then you're against 10 men for the last 10 minutes, and you're potentially going to nick that game, aren't you?
Am I the only one that thinks Burnley, they need to sort out their defence? They're leaking goals a lot.
Yeah,
and which is weird goals. Because you're so used to seeing them being quite defensive. But this, again, it's a new Burnley, isn't it? We're so used to the Sean Dyche, be tight at the back. If we nick it, get it. So Burnley fans must be thinking, we score goals now. This is brilliant. But then they're like, I wish we had that defensive solidarity at the back. But I will say something. Burnley player announcements are superb. Their media team, whatever they're doing, is amazing.
We love to see it. Before we check the table out and move to League One, we will have a quick look at some of the comments that have come in. We've got Mad Chef Wednesday fan Malik Wilkes to Wednesday. It's looking likely, isn't it?
The chairman's son now followed him on Instagram, which normally means he's signed.
There we go. It's set in concrete then, isn't it?
Such a stupid system.
Patrick Mapper as well. Wallacott in goal for us, one of the best keepers he's seen in a Charlton shirt. So he was from Swindon. Fairly decent keeper. We'll agree with that. Let's have a quick look at the table. 5 games in. The table is starting to take shape. We're still not taking too much notice of it, though, until around 10 games in. We've got Sheffield United on top, so we'll skip past that for Jake's mental well-being more than anything.
It is what it is.
Watford in second, and then the playoffs made up of Reading, Blackburn, Sunderland and Hull City. Reading, the surprising one up there for me, with all their off-field issues. Rotherham sat neatly in 13th. I think Ian's ready to finish the season now. And then we go into the bottom 3. Yep. We've got Coventry, Borough and Huddersfield. Coventry only played 2 games, so they've got 3 games to catch up already.
They need to get that pitch. They need to get that pitch sorted or start rearranging games like they did the way before, because they're going to cause a massive fixture nightmare for them if they're not careful.
Yeah, definitely. Mad Chef Wednesday fan straight in the comments. No, Sheffield United top is so bad. So moving on to League One.
I just kept my gob shut, mate.
You will see the banner now, midweek results for League One and also this weekend's results. We will start with, we'll skip over Peterborough against Sheffield Wednesday, but
I'll talk about it. So up until the red card, we were playing some really good football. It flowed well. You had Reece James playing some good stuff. It's really weird because we got Marvin Johnson on the same kind of side and he played it as a left back, Reece James. But it's a red for me. It's late. The foot's high. The player's momentum does take it to make it look worse than it actually is. But then after that, they got really into the game. And the annoying thing for us, it's like this is 5 goals now on 5 crosses from the same area, which are 3 headers.
Yeah.
Now, Darren Moore came out at the end of the game and defended it because he turned around and said, all our other goals last season were from corners, so it's static positions. So we got that sorted. It's not where it's in motion. And I don't think Darren Moore gets given the credit for actually talking about it then and then talking about it in the press conference before our game at the weekend. And also in this, you had the reaction by Joe Byers. I get it. Joe Byers were playing some really good football. When a player goes off like that, you're like, that doesn't seem well. But Darren Moore is very good at getting players to sit in a room or assistants say, sort it out between yous because you need to. The reaction was stupid from Byers and the reaction from Smith with Byers was stupid. But if you're in your job and you do something and you throw your toys out, your boss is going to have a go at you. That's what assistant Jamie Smith was doing. Darren Moore concentrating on the game. It's the assistant's job to sort it. I thought Cameron Dawson did well playing bouncer, pulling him down, calming him down. But it is what it is. You'd rather be that peed off for getting subbed than be like, oh, fine, sod it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it is what it is. It wasn't great for us, but at the same time, Peterborough look like they're going to be the league contender for going up. They look good, so I would have taken that because they do look good. But we did look okay for a spell.
Yeah. Mad Fan disagrees. He says it was not a red.
We've all got opinions.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about footballs.
But Nat does agree with you, and this is, like you just said, this is why we love football. So many different opinions, and this is why we talk about it so much. I think his foot was high. It was late. It's one of those, isn't it? Lizzie in the chat as well. Peterborough Strike Force in League One
it's
illegal. Yeah, it's very, very good. McCann has to be snapped up by a big club soon, surely. It's a weird one. I really enjoyed McCann as the Rovers manager. I thought the football we played under him was exciting. It was on the front foot all the time, but I think we left ourselves wide open at the back sometimes. That might have just been the squad that we had at the time, but I really enjoyed going to the ground and watching us. And I think we've seen at a higher level, he does sometimes struggle. He didn't pull up any trees at Hull. I think he's a very good League One manager. Maybe just struggles at the level above, but who knows? Yeah. Jake's on. Peterborough beating two good sides this week, then, eh, Jake? They're a very, very good team. So moving on to the weekend's fixtures, we will stick with Sheffield Wednesday for Jake. Where are we? Away to the best team in League One, and
I went into this thinking we might struggle because Bolton's had a really good start. They really have had a good start and played some very good football. But before we scored our first goal, they nearly got one. And he should have buried it, and he didn't. Really good football. And I'll just start with the thing that I did on my video. Liam Palmer, 350 club appearances. He got captain. And you can see he's on the score sheet. But the thing what I liked about Wednesday in this, we pressed. We did a lot of the nasty stuff where you off the ball, you let them have the ball and just soak up pressure. And it's a little, to be fair to Joe Byers, he just puts his foot out and it gets a toe on it and goes in. But for him to have the week he's had and then just go, right, sod it. Ran the full length of the pitch to celebrate with the fans. Absolutely proud of Punt for him because he's a really good player. I still can't believe we got him on a free or a closer damn it to the free from Swansea. And the thing with Byers, he's turning into what I think Wilk will be for us. I think some players need new clubs, new people around them. I feel like Wilkes is the kind of player who needs an arm around his shoulder to get the best out of him. And that's probably why he's not been getting the best out of Hull. Grant McCann goes, somebody who trusts him, used him a lot, get someone that he doesn't know. And then that's going to happen. And I will say this. Everyone that keep coming onto my page saying Josh Windass is a striker. He's not. He's a cam. He's an attacking midfielder. He's even said it on Twitter. He's not. And also, don't follow his Twitter. He talks a lot about boxing, and sometimes his opinions are a bit, But Liam Palmer gets one of his rare goals. I think that's his 5th goal for the club. But saw it out, really good. I will mention this, though. I wasn't a fan of it when David Stockdale was at Wickham. During the game, we had a situation where Stockdale went down injured. Wasn't injured. He was fine. 5 minutes out to go get water from the players and get a bit of a pet talk. Hated it when he did it for Wickham. Hated like doing it for us now. Some people might say you should love it, but I've got standards. I don't like it. I'm going to call it out if it's happening to my club as well. It's annoying. Stop doing it. I know it's part of your housery that you've learnt from Wickham and we've now got your black magic art skills here. Stop. But good win, considering Bolton been looking very impressive this season.
Game management, mate. We'll put it down to that rather than the dark arts.
I'm still calling it the dark arts.
Well, no, a good reaction from a poor result midweek.
Very much so.
Yeah, definitely. I think we will go on to Peterborough against Lincoln next. We've got Jake in the chat going over all
he
ground.
Really did.
Peterborough look absolutely sensational, outclassed us in every department, bar off the pitch. Atmosphere was class at 4-0 down. If they don't go up, he'll be surprised. So, yeah, I think he's pretty much said everything that
nailed it, yeah.
we'll end up saying. Ian, do you want to take this one? I mean, Johnson Clark Harris, ex-Rovers scorer Claxon, we'll have a couple for him. So it's all over to you, Ian.
There you go. Another.
I will say this now. Where was this Jack Marriott when he played for Went? He was useless.
Players fit at certain clubs, other players don't. We've had it
Exactly.
at Rotherham. We've had. I mean, look at Johnson Clark Harris. I mean, we got him. He scored a couple of championship goals for us. Then just went off the boil and got transferred. But him and Marriott are a cheat code for League One as a strike force. Absolutely. And they beat a very, very good Lincoln City side, because I saw Lincoln at Rovers in the Carabao and they looked exceptional. So, yeah, at London Road, they're going to be very, very difficult to beat. And if they can pick up the required amount of away points, I can see them doing a Rotherham and yo-yoing and going again.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Ian. Definitely. Just a quick one on what you said, Jake. Lizzie is in the same field as me. Love it when keepers do that, the game management. Neil Sullivan used to have full-blown power naps for us. He did.
It's just me. I've got principles.
So, yeah, cracking result for Peterborough, 4-0. Next up, we will go to current table toppers Ipswich, who have had a fantastic start to the season. Jake, do you want to take this one, mate?
Yeah, they just really dominated. Jules, John, this is what we were expecting to get. Yep, same for me as well. Former. He didn't do nothing at all, so he was injured, and then we see that he can run. Really good solo goal. He really did go power forward, got the goal. Then you got Connor Chapman, bit of a scrappy goal, but once he did get it, set the thing, and then to get it right near the end, Ipswich, since McKenna come in charge, he just changed it. Yeah. He's set a routine up. He's set them hard. They're hard to beat. They don't let many goals in either. And I think on the run they were.
Yeah, bit of a journeyman for a young lad, isn't it?
Yeah. But for them being, he made them hard to beat, and that's something you saw a lot last season. And I think with what they're bringing in, it's really smart. They brought in a lot of players again. Let's not kid ourselves, but I think they brought in the right players this time. That's the difference. I think last season it was
not quantity.
Yeah, and I think last season it was a case of new owners. We want to show that we can spend the cash a bit. Paul Cook brought in what he wanted, and they do look scarily good. I think you could probably say Peterborough and Ipswich could be automatic promotions.
Yeah, definitely. And then the final game to look at for League One before we move on. In fact, we'll have a look at Plymouth, because we've got a couple of Plymouth fans in the chat. A decent away win at Forest Green Rovers. Azaz, very good player. I think he's going to score an absolute hatful. Niall Ennis, we're back on the klaxon. I'm not going to be able to speak by the time we get down to League Two. But no, a cracking 3-0 away win. And midweek, how did they get on midweek? Can't remember.
They lost, didn't they?
They got battered.
So great.
They got
battered by Charlton. So a good reaction, a good response for Plymouth. And then to finish off, Portsmouth.
I know you said you didn't want to mention it.
Yeah. Portsmouth, Bristol Rovers. I don't know if Charlie's in the chat. He stood in for you very, very well last week.
He did very well last week.
On the show.
Yeah.
Again, I think we can manage with 4 people and still have a decent conversation about all 3 leagues. But yeah, fantastic. Obviously, I'll stick a link for Charlie in the description down below. A very good content.
It's really that Piggott didn't really get going.
Yeah.
And now at Portsmouth, he really is. It's odd because I don't know if his face didn't fit or he just didn't fit the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we've said it a few times, haven't we? That I think Ian mentioned it, that you find players who fit at a club, enjoy the football, look at Marquis at Doncaster, and then compare Marquis at Donny to Marquis at Pompey. Yeah. It's like chalk and cheese with them. So I do think you find a club and a team that you just sit well into. So I think Piggott will do well at Pompey. I really do. But yeah, they've started fantastically. 3-1 win against a decent Bristol Rovers team.
There was an incident in this game, a couple of incidents in this Portsmouth-Bristol Rovers game that Pompey got a penalty that was a little bit on the dodgy side, and just after that, Rovers had a penalty shout that was an absolute 100% stone jug penalty that were waved aside. But that's the League 1 and 2 refereeing association, isn't it?
You could say really? Championship with that as well, because Wigan striker shouldn't have been sent off. The Wigan defender shouldn't have been sent off. He didn't clip him.
Yeah.
No, he didn't touch him.
It's a difficult job. We just want consistency. If they're poor, just be consistently poor.
Yeah, true enough.
So moving on to the League 1 table, and this one's starting to shape up as well. As you say, Ipswich and Peterborough looking superb this season. Ipswich yet to taste defeat, as are Portsmouth. Just a couple of extra draws. So it's going to be an interesting fight up at the top of the table. Wednesday only losing 1 in 4th. Plymouth and
considering
Charlton
we lost the defender that we just brought in, Akinfenwa from Bristol City, and then we brought in Martin McGuinness on loan from Cardiff, who had a great game yesterday. Considering that, I think we're doing really well. We're just missing that kind of last little bit of quality in front of net. Michael Smith is apparently a couple of days or weeks away from being back, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do in a winter shirt.
He'll add a different dimension, won't he, for sure.
I'd start him in your next Papa John's Trophy game.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah. We've got Martin Doxey in the chat. Afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. The bottom 4, Burton, Morecambe, MK Dons, Cheltenham. But it's still so
I'm just going to put it in here. Do we think Cole Stockton is going to be at Morecambe end of transfer window? I don't
think so.
I think they did well to keep him in January.
Yeah.
And I think he'd have to leave now, hasn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
Ian, do you think he'll be a
Morecambe player? Transfer request in.
There we go. That's pretty much writing on the wall then, isn't it?
Yeah. If Fleetwood get him, it'd be a quality signing for him.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so moving on to League 2.
It'd make a lot of sense if he went to Fleetwood.
Still close, isn't it?
Yeah.
So on to League 2. We will start with Doncaster 2, Stockport 1. Same as the other two leagues. We'll touch on the Doncaster fixture. The results are ticking over at the bottom of the page at the minute, and then we'll go on to the weekend's results. So Tuesday, probably the best performance I've seen from the Rovers in a long, long time. We've had 18 months of absolute dross, in all honesty, and it just clicked on Tuesday night. I think even 11 against 11, it was getting edged by the Rovers. We'll never know how it'd have panned out, but on the 21st minute, Southam Hales throws an elbow. I don't know if there's any contact in it. I think Tommy Rowe probably makes a little bit of a meal of it. Stays on his feet, to be fair, but he just kind of a little theatrical kind of head throwback. But the Lino's seen it. He's had the conversation with the referee, and Southam Hales got his marching orders. And from there, we just absolutely dominated the game. George Miller, 21 passes, every single member of the squad involved in the build-up, and a lovely finish to make it 1-0. And then Stockport, in the second half, caught us cold. We were sleeping straight after the second half, and Rydell got the equaliser. But then McSheffrey time, once again, Kieran Agar pops up on the 91st minute. Lizzie, this whole winning business is pretty mad, isn't it? Yeah. It's been a positive start to the season for sure. And I think the stats say everything, really. 22 shots, 8 on target, 71% possession. Absolutely dominated this game and gave us a lot of confidence and expectation going into Saturday's fixture. So we move on to Saturday. Salford City, unbeaten, coming to the Eco Power. Rovers, unbeaten in the league as well. And Ian, you join me, so you'll probably agree with the majority of what I'm going to say, but if not, please speak up. But I think first 20 to 25 minutes, Salford looked like the only team that was going to win it. Couple of injuries, enforced changes, tactical changes because of those substitutions, and we started to kind of get foothold in the game a little bit and started to come into the game and cause Salford a few problems. And Kyle Hurst has come out and said that he's just tried to put the ball into a really dangerous area, and that dangerous area was the keeper's top left-hand corner. He can put it in that dangerous area every single game of the season for me. So he's not said that he meant it as a shot. He's actually admitted that he's just trying to get it into an area that somebody can attack it. But a wonderful goal. And I think if I'd have scored it, I'd have said that I'd have meant it. But the second goal was definitely meant. I think the second half was very even, a bit fairly uneventful, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things. But a little bit of quality from Tomlin and a bit of quality from Kyle Hurst for the finish as well. It definitely meant that one. But it could have been a draw, and probably it would have been fair as a draw. Salford hit the base of the post with a similar kind of cross-come shot. Somebody just putting it into an area that somebody's going to try and get onto the end of. But unfortunately for Salford, didn't find the back of the net. It found the base of the post, and Rovers cleared. But Lizzie, in all seriousness, I've not felt this close to the club in a long time. Going to the stadium, excited, makes a change. Got to agree with that. I think there's a buy-in from the fans. I think vocally the Black Bank was superb. And it just seems like there's positive energy around the full club at the minute, which is something that we've not had for a while. But Ian, you watched it as a neutral. What were your thoughts on this one?
As a neutral, I thought it was a very, very good advert for League Two football. Both clubs going for it. Like you said, Salford were in the ascendancy for probably the first half hour. And after that, and after the substitutions, which you would think would weaken Rovers, it actually made them stronger. The number 28, who I think it's Faulkner, who came on as sub, an academy graduate, did really, really well. Had a great little game in when he came on as sub. And I think the substitutions made Rovers stronger, and they poured forward in the last bit of the first half, got the goal, which was probably deserved. And in the early part of the second half, they looked to control things. And the second goal was a thing of beauty. Yeah. I mean, the ball out to Tomlin were good. Tomlin's pass inside to Hurst, and what a finish. Yeah. Really, really good goal. And after that, apart from what you've just mentioned about Salford hitting the post, Rovers didn't look troubled at all. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really good game.
Yeah, Lizzie just made a good point.
Yeah. Shh. It's rubbish.
Nobody wants to secret.
But yeah, I think if Kyle Hurst had not scored the two goals and rightfully got the man of the match, my man of the match was Roshan Williams. I think he was an absolute brick wall. And
definitely.
He had 4 centre-back partners during the game. He started with Tom Anderson. He went off injured. Adam Long came on. He went off injured. Faulkner came on. And then there was a tactical change. I think I remember seeing Clayton stood next to him. And I think he commanded the area. His communication was clear from the stands and absolute solid performance. And Lizzie's agreeing with me. Williams, all new player this season. Yeah, his confidence is great to see. And completely different.
It's just nice to have a happy Dan and Liz after last season. You were so
crazy, isn't it?
Miserable.
Revitalised, mate.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So we've got a couple of games to touch on in League Two. I think Jake, did you say you wanted to talk about Crewe and Northampton?
Yes, I did.
Beautiful. It's all yours.
Crewe are interesting, aren't they? They're an interesting team at the minute because they look 1 week they look like they're going to be thereabouts and looking good, and then they just defensively they go to part, and it's really annoying. And I want Crewe to do well. They're like kind of a team I've got a soft spot for, kind of thing, because I used to love watching Crewe play come through their academy, see them go on to do good things, and always been a really good little setup. But Northampton Town do not give up, and you need that in League Two and League One, because if you don't, you're going to struggle. But being able to get a 97-minute winner and be able to then go, we've done it, let it go home, is huge. Because what I don't think a lot of people realise with a 2-2 draw is, as much as it's crushing for Crewe and they think they're going to have to do better, for Northampton Town, they'll take that as a win mentally. And a mental win
Yeah.
is probably better than, and especially at the time they got it, is better than anything else. And Northampton should have really won it on stats. They looked a lot better.
Yeah. Northampton are the next team that we face as well. So
Yeah.
I kept
Can I say
a close
a
eye
couple
on
of
this one.
things
And Sam
about this
Hoskin
game?
looks an absolute
Yeah, go for it.
player. Got to keep him quiet if we're going to get anything from Northampton, I think.
Well, Hoskins is a goal scorer, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
his record this season and last season were exceptional for this level. And also, can I just mention Baker Richardson's first goal? Because Northampton's manager said that his challenge was a foul. It wasn't. He won the ball.
You got
And
the
what
ball.
a strike it was! It was a hell of a
I like what
strike.
he put on Twitter as well.
Goal. What's that?
Do you see his post on Twitter? I'm sure it was Baker
Yeah.
Richardson.
Yeah.
Having a go at the groundsman for not getting the cobwebs out at the top corner, so he's got to do it.
Yeah,
I like that.
it was good. That yeah.
He's been a really smart signing from Newport.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was really smart of them to get him, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Crew because they got the ability to do something quite special.
Yeah, I think they'll have a good season. Amadeus in the chat, amazing what a winning streak can do for a club, isn't it, for both fans and players?
Yep.
It is. It's been very, very refreshing.
It's also
And then-
amazing what a win can do for your mentality because if you lose a game on a Saturday, it can wreck your mood for the entire weekend.
Yeah, Vicky's been fairly happy this season, to be fair.
He hasn't told you to build a doghouse
He
yet,
just
then.
needed to win a few games on the bounce. First back-to-back win since March 2021, and that was when Andy Butler was in charge. So his first 2 games in charge, and that just shows we've had 2 managers since then. First back-to-back wins. First time we've won our first 3 home matches since coming back from non-league as well. So that is
Wow,
why
that's a
we're so
long
positive.
time.
We've got a
Yeah.
squad of players that want to play for the shirt. A squad of players that are connecting with the fans as well, which
It doesn't
I think
seem as
is
toxic
absolutely
anymore.
massive.
It don't seem like it's that toxic. It don't seem like anyone's leaking stuff.
Yeah,
like-
there's still
it's
a
like
fair
your
few
one
leaks,
club again.
but yeah, it's all right. So a couple more games to go through before we check the table and round it off because we're almost at 45 minutes. We will go with Colchester 1, Leyton Orient 3. Ian, do you want to take this? Leyton Orient, Richie Wellens had a fantastic start to this campaign.
They're looking really good. They're looking strong, Orient. And now they've started picking away wins up. They were always strong at Brisbane Road. Even last season when they didn't do so well, they looked a good home team. But it looks like Wellens has gotten played into a system that looks like it's full of goals.
Yeah.
I did tip Orient, though, at the beginning of the season to have a good season, and they're bearing me out here. Colchester probably not the strongest opposition, but you could, like you said earlier on, you can only beat what's put in front of you, and I was quite impressed. Decent goals as well, decent moves up for the goals, and I can see Orient doing very, very well.
Yeah, it's disappointing to say that because obviously Richie Wellens didn't have the greatest time as a manager.
No.
But having said that, one of the best players to wear the shirt. So I do wish him all the best in his career, just not when they face us. And to finish off, we will go with one of Rovers' next opponents, Mansfield, winning 2-1 at home to Stockport. Jake, Mansfield. In fact, do you want to take Mansfield? I think.
Can do.
Yeah. We've got Northampton
Mansfield are
and
looking-
Mansfield, so 2 tough games. Mansfield beating a fancied
They're
Stockport.
looking good, aren't they? They
Yeah.
are looking really good, and they're playing some good football. They're very good on the ball, and they know how to pass it around. The fact that they're quick goals as well after
Crazy
going
3
1-0 down, which is absolutely superb. It shows you the level of commitment from not to die and just keep going. I think with Mansfield Town, they can sometimes play hot and cold when things are not going their way. Last season, that was the thing that I saw a lot of. When it wasn't going their way, they will put tools down, kind of complain. But now they're starting to build something that could, and they were unlucky last season as well. So it could be their year. But Stockport still look good. Stockport is not a team to be sniffed at. They look like they're going to give this a good fighting chance.
I think they just need a little bit of time to settle in the league. They looked okay at Donny. a mention to their travelling support as well. Unreal. Some of the best fans that I've seen at the Eco Power in a long time. Obviously, Wednesday, Sunderland, they've always travelled well. Pompey have travelled well, but the noise that Stockport brought was phenomenal. So I think that might just be the key for them to do well this season, having that 12th man behind them. But they've not been battered in any game this season from memory. I don't think they have. So they're in games. They just need to be a little bit smarter at this level, I think, and they'll be all right.
It's a learning curve, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Especially going out of non-league into the league. But they've got some good players. Paddy Madden, that Sarkovic. They won't
they've got league experience, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming out of non-league can always sometimes be, especially with how they did in non-league, they were very good. It's like coming into something that's a bit more competitive. Why I kind of always said, even if Wrexham do come up, I don't think their fan base should be like, right, we're going to storm this league, because it's a lot harder.
Yeah, League Two is getting tougher the longer we go. I think the level of ability in there. It used to be a case of big boot. If you've got big defenders, you'll do all right. But there's a lot of footballing teams down there.
It's nice, isn't it? It's nice to see that the trickle-down effect from Premier League ability to trickle down to Championship is now coming down to League One and League Two. And you see teams playing football, not just hitting it long and hoping.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So just to finish off, or before we finish off, we'll take a quick look at the table. There's 4 teams still yet to taste defeat. Leyton Orient, Stevenage, Doncaster and Northampton. So potentially one of those is going to go at the weekend, because Donny play Northampton, unless we play out a draw, of course. But yeah, Leyton Orient, Stevenage and Barrow in the top 3. Northampton, Donny, Salford and Crewe make up the playoffs. Mansfield just outside of the playoffs as well. And then we'll go down to the bottom 2. Worries for Rochdale.
They just sacked their couches, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them on Tuesday.
Do you think they fired too early, or do you think they've done the right thing to try and turn it around quickly?
Hard one, because you let whoever comes in 2 weeks in the window.
Yeah.
You're not got enough to get it in, so you're going to have to hope the net. I reckon you should have just given it till January and then try and play catch up, or maybe gone in September, let at least them get the players in to gel and stuff. But it's a tough one. It's a very early. But I've spoken to a couple of Rochdale fans. They're like, it was time.
Yeah. I've seen on socials that there was a lot of negative stuff coming out from just a lack of kind of trust in the manager, or belief that he's got any ability to turn it around. So for me, I think they've shot early, but they've done the right thing.
I'm surprised to see Gillingham down there.
Yeah, Neil Harris, I think he'll have them sorted. I think he just needs to steady the ship a little bit. And Crawley make up the bottom 2. Wow. So that is that. Decent show, almost at 50 minutes. I've enjoyed this chat once again. I hope everybody who's joined in the stream has enjoyed it as well. Obviously, we've got everybody's links are in the description down below. So please go and follow Jake, subscribe to him, subscribe to Over the Bar, and also Ian's Twitter will be in the description down below. So please follow all of these guys, and you'll get to see what they're on about during the week and not just on a Sunday as well. But that's it. All that's left for me to say is, if you've enjoyed it, stick a big thumbs up on it for us, please. Comments in the section below if you're watching it on repeat during the week. We do reply to the comments. Subscribe to me if you haven't already as well. All that's left for me to say is thank you for watching, and we will all see you in the next one.